So today I wanted to talk about the first time that I was tweaked off of drugs. Um, the first time that I really was tweaked, that I can remember, and this is one of my earliest memories, if I'm being honest, one of my earliest, most, not formative, but memorable memories, I would say. Uh, I was about 4 years old, and I had just recently made this discovery. Um, Chocolate covered almonds. I thought they were so delicious. Um, I love a chocolate covered almond. But when I was about 4 years old, um, past my bedtime, probably like 9, 10 p.m., um, back in my old childhood home, I had eaten almost an entire little box of the chocolate covered almonds. And I just remember, like, I don't think I realized I knew at the time that chocolate was like cocoa, like caffeinated, you know? Like chocolate is caffeinated. Like it people don't really I guess think about that these days cuz like people when you think of chocolate, you think of milk chocolate, which isn't really like caffeinated like that. But cocoa, like dark chocolate, which was what I was eating, is very caffeinated. And I am just a sensitive person to caffeine in general, and it didn't make it any better that I was literally like 4 years old. So I was tweaked off the bean, quite literally. I remember waking my mom up from her sleep, like standing over her bed, like, Mama, please. Um, I was shaking violently. I was shitting myself. I was like on the toilet, naked, like shaking, shitting, crying, freaking out. I still feel like this sometimes when I have too much caffeine, which is why I don't drink coffee. Um, but yeah, that was the first time that I was ever really tweaked off of a drug. And caffeine is a drug, but it's just like a chill one, you know? Um, yeah. And then I just went to school the next day like it was chill. Um, fuck was that? The next uh or I guess probably because the first time that I was tweaked off of the chocolate almonds, off of drugs, was not the most like memorable or like traumatizing. It was just the first, and it's kind of a funny story that I like to tell sometimes. Um, because it was like violent shaking. I was sitting in my mom's lap, and she was like, "It's okay, it's okay, like fucking relax, bro. It's chocolate almonds. Like you're a tweaker." But the most traumatizing, I would say, also, I'm sorry if the wind is like blowing on the mic, but the most traumatizing, I would say, was I think I was about 15 years old. I was at my friend's house and we were planning on smoking weed together, the devil's lettuce. But we weren't actually smoking weed. It was his friend's dab pen, which I didn't know at the time because I was 15 and knew nothing about drugs. But those are like the most fucking diabolical way to put drugs into your system. Yeah. So basically, we were sitting in like a little circle in his room, and I, like I said, I didn't know shit about drugs. Like, truly, this was just a product of me being young and like ignorant, which isn't really my fault. Like, it's no one's fault. It's just unfortunate. But yeah, I took way too big a hit off this dab pen. Like, crazy cloud. and the taste, it tasted like it tasted like electromagnetic waves. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It tasted like something otherworldly, like something adjacent to this world. Um, and also, Loki, the pizza in my high school tasted like dab pen juice. And there was another time that me and my friend actually did eat dab pen juice because his battery was broken, so we couldn't like actually puff it. So we ate the juice, and it didn't even get me high. It just made me like really dizzy for 2 days. But anyways, so we were sitting in a circle. I took way too big a hit. And this is more traumatizing to me than I'm like making it out to be. A few minutes after I took this hit, I like was it's like indescribable what I was feeling. Like, all of a sudden I was looking down at my phone, and all of a sudden, like, my hand wasn't my hand, and my phone, like, was unrecognizable to me. And if you've experienced, like, I was experiencing, like, derealization and, like, dissociation for the first time in my life, which already, like, is a scary feeling, but it becomes worse when you are tweaking off drugs and you're 15 years old and you don't even know what that is. Like, you don't even know what, like, dissociating is. So you just think you're actually, like, you've lost it. Like, everything was a lie. Like everything everyone told you was a lie. Like, I looked at my friends' faces and they became, like, I didn't know who they were. I saw my own face, and it was a stranger. Like, this was I am not someone who enjoys smoking or drinking, even, really. Um and this experience was kind of like the the starting point of that. I had experiences where I have smoked and drank after this that were like good experiences that weren't like traumatizing to my fucking bones, but I'm just not I'm not an enjoyer. I'm not an enjoyer of it. Love and respect to everyone who is, but it's just not for me. But this experience was truly, like, horrific. And I in this moment, the moment when I like kind of, like, like, when you like, it hits you and you're like, ooh, like, you and, like, the observer separates. Like, chromatic aberration, where it, like, the red and the blue, like, ooh, come out. That's how my uh mind felt. Um and I told my friends, I was like, guys, I don't feel good. I feel weird. I feel really weird. I need to chill. I need to chill. I was like actually tweaking the fuck out, and they're like, "Oh, I don't think it hit them as hard as it hit me." And also, they were experienced, um, way more experienced than I was. I was like, "Guys, I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong with me." I couldn't look them in the face because I was like, it's such a weird feeling because it's like it's almost like I couldn't recognize them, but it's like I could remember who they are. Like, I know I've seen these people before, but it's like these they're not who I remember. It's like they're not real. Like, nothing felt real. And um I told them this. I was like, guys, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, I don't feel normal. Like, I don't feel normal. It's funny looking back on it now, that it's been several years. But at the time, and, like, shortly after, it was not fucking funny. Like, low key, it was traumatizing as fuck. But yeah, they were like, "Ooh, we should probably, like, let you, like, chill in the room." And guys, guys, I was tweaked. they left me alone in his room. Um, because I mean, it's not it didn't really make a difference whether I was alone or with people. I was still tweaking off my fucking bean, and I was like looking through TikTok because I used to have TikTok. I deleted that shit years ago. But I was like scrolling through TikTok and it's so weird. Like I get the same feeling now like when I'm experiencing like anxiety, even though I've recognized the feelings I'm having now of like, oh, I'm having anxiety. This is like what happens when I have anxiety and I can like kind of quelch it. But I was so high. I was like scrolling through TikTok and all the sounds in the videos felt like they were like taunting me. Like it was like scary sounds, scary sounds. Like I was high, I was scared. Um, like weird videos that like don't usually pop up. It felt like the fabric of reality was crumbling by like from my fucking For You page. And I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like something changed, something shifted. Um, and I was like, okay, I just need to chill. So I don't remember what I think I probably like shuffled my liked songs because I was like, I need something familiar, like something comforting to like make me feel normal. Um, so I think I just put on like my shuffle, like my liked songs on shuffle, and put it on a low volume next to my head, and just like was like I was shaking. Like when I would experiment with drugs in high school, I shook like shaking fucking what's that disease where old people shake like really hard. It's that. It was that. Like bad. So I was just like shaking in the bed and when I tell you I was hearing voices like I didn't recognize it at the time of like oh I'm hearing voices, I'm like hallucinating because I didn't associate weed with like hallucinating or like freaking out or hearing voices because I was just uneducated. Like I really didn't know how it would affect me or how it affected other people. Um but I thought I was hearing like my friend's parents downstairs opening the door and like yelling at my friends for like being high and that they were about to like come upstairs and like tell my parents. Like I was crafting narratives in my mind of like when I think they were just watching Bob's Burgers downstairs. Like they were just watching TV and I swear to God I thought I was hearing like yelling from their parents. I thought I was hearing phone calls being made. I thought I was hearing footsteps like coming up the stairs. Like, and I was just so in my head, like, for probably like 6 hours was like, it was really bad. And then I was like coming down from it after that. Um, yeah, and the lasting effects of this one high, like, truly changed the trajectory of my life. And I'm not like exaggerating when I say that. Like truly I was 15 years old. I believe I was a sophomore in high school. I did not feel normal for 2 years after that. Like especially the first year after that, like it was so bad. Like and it was probably also exacerbated by the fact that I was like just, a teenager in high school, like, and I was like young and didn't understand what was happening, like, in my brain, like, neurologically. And it also didn't help that I was like dysphoric, like, hadn't really blossomed yet, like, come out really. So I was like experiencing weird, like, body shit, like, dysmorphia shit, as well as like derealization and depersonalization like all the time. Like in band camp, when I was in band camp, it was so bad. Like I would just like go through my day and like I would get like waves of like in really intense anxiety, like, and nothing was happening. It was just like something was wrong with me. Like, I was like, my brain chemistry literally shifted. Like, something was wrong. Something was wrong. I would get waves of anxiety, be in my head, I'd be like, this isn't real. Like this is all made up. This is a simulation. Like, oh, I just spit. Like crazy shit, crazy, mentally ill type shit. Um, and looking back, it was kind of sad. Like that I spent those years from when I was like 15 to 17. Like truly, I was not there. I was not there. I wasn't me. I wasn't there. Um, it's sad, but I think I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't change what happened because it made me into the person that I am today and helped me like realize things. But yeah, there was one really dark moment during school when I think it was during lunch when I had escaped the cafeteria. Um I can't remember if I ate lunch or not, but basically I escaped from the cafeteria. I was walking down the band hall and I was just it had been months of like me feeling like this, just like constant waking, asleep, like constant in and out of like this anxiety of feeling not real. And like it's hard to really convey like the feeling you get if you haven't experienced it before, like, and it's also hard because it's like I was a kid and it makes the feeling like so much worse because I had no idea what was going on. I truly felt like I had like not even that I didn't even think like I broke something or like I'm wrong. It felt like this illusion that I was feeling because I had like fucked with my brain like with drugs. It felt like this illusion was actual reality. Like I was experiencing like a non-reality. Like I am not myself. Like it felt like this feeling that I was feeling was actually real. Like not that the feeling wasn't real, but like do you know what I mean? Like I was taking these thoughts seriously, which you shouldn't take anxious thoughts seriously like that because it's like it's your anxiety telling you like it's just your anxiety trying to protect you. But yeah, I had escaped from the cafeteria and I went down to the band hall and basically I just sat in a corner of like the hallway and cried. Like I was just crying in the middle of the hallway and I'm not a public crier. Um but I was just like so worn out. Oh, sorry, it's windy, y'all. I was so worn out. I was so confused. I was in such a dark mental place. Um Guys, this is just a light-hearted conversation, right? Like we've all had these like feelings, right? Like this is just chill. Um, yeah. And then I remember this felt like you know how like I felt schizophrenic. Like everything I feel like when you like are high, like things feel like messages from the universe. Like you feel like things are sent to you when like it's just your brain making like crazy connections. Um, like it feels like the universe is trying to scare you when you're high, or when I was high at least. But this kid walked down the hallway when I was sitting in the corner crying because I was so dissociated for like a year. Um, and he was like, he looked at me and he was like, I'm high as fuck right now, and I was like, good for you, man. Good for you, man. uh, yeah, and it was really not chill. But and I hadn't like necessarily learned my lesson after that. Like I still smoked and drank and stuff after that just cuz you experiment with drugs and alcohol when you're in high school, and some people it works and some people it doesn't, and that's why you experiment, to figure it out. Like, hello. But um yeah, and growing up, my parents didn't really talk to me a lot about like alcohol and stuff, like, and like drugs. Um Also, I feel kind of similarly when I drink. It's not as bad, but like I still get the shakes. Um, yeah, my parents didn't really talk to me a lot about. They didn't say stuff like don't do drugs, like don't drink, don't smoke weed. My mom is a very like, not that she's an alcoholic, but she's a very steady drinker and smoker. Like, that's just something she does. She's always done it. She tells me, I mean, she used to be like crazy when she was a kid. She would tell me stories about how she would get like blackout drunk in fields when she was like 16. I was like, girl, could not be me. Um, but yeah, so that's her. And then my dad, he was kind of similar, like for most of his life, but um, as of the last like several years, he's very like sober, very like granola, if you will. He's very that. That doesn't include, mushrooms and like ayahuasca type shit. He still kind of does that. He doesn't really. People who do that don't really say like I do drugs. They're like I take herbal medicine, and it's like, okay. I mean, technically, it's still drugs, and I mean, I could say, oh, I do drugs because I drink tea, which has caffeine, which like it's not really the same, but it's like, come on, you know. Um, but yeah, so he's very like he does not drink, he doesn't really smoke weed, um, and I'm not gonna like air my parents out, but let's just say they're divorced. Um, but yeah, they never really talked to me about that sort of stuff. I was never the type of kid who was told by their parents like, don't drink, don't smoke drugs, like they ever really said to me in that sort of way was just like, be safe, make good choices. Um, which honestly I think is probably the most effective way to do it, because it's like you're not just like, I don't care what you do, like kids are gonna be crazy, but it's not so strict as to like make a kid want to just go against you and do fucking crack. Um, So I think they raised me in a good way in that way, and I feel like I have a unique perspective when it comes to my parents, because one of them, like, they're on very different sides of the spectrum when it comes to substances. I think like their opinions and their experiences and their worldviews on it are different. So I think it allows me to have like a wider view of it than some people might, but I'm just not someone who I drink sometimes like on holidays because I think it's fun to like drink on Thanksgiving. But yeah, and I've what I've found with my experimentations with drugs and alcohol when I was in high school was that I there's a very closely tied link, very heavy link between me using substances and anxiety, like physiological and psychological anxiety. Like, it's not just, I still get anxiety sometimes, obviously, because I'm a human, but like it's like if I take these substances, then it will guarantee that I will have like it physiologically affects and like triggers anxiety in my body, in my mind. And I'm just like, That's not the vibe. Like, I don't want to be anxious. Like, hello. But yeah, um, that was kind of like the sequence of events that led me to who I am today, I guess. Tweaking off of chocolate covered almonds, and I'll still tweak off of chocolate covered almonds today. Shit, like, those are good. And, um, taking a fat rip off a stranger's dap pen when I was 15. Um, yeah, it's hard to convey the damage that that one rip did to my psyche. And I mean, I don't think it was just that one rip. I think it was a continuous issue, like me uh kind of reverting back, like going back to that traumatized state of mind as I like continued to be like, maybe it'll be like chill this time. Maybe it'll be like, maybe I just did it wrong, or like maybe I whatever. I think I was kind of just like reopening the wound a few times, and that was why I had like kind of damaged my mental health a lot when I was that age. Um, yeah, it's hard to convey like how badly it really affected me. Like I would lay in bed at night, um, just like not feeling normal, not feeling real, and I don't know. It's hard to convey it with language. It's hard to convey it with words. But it was very troublesome for me, and it was very traumatizing for me. And I'm sure a lot of people have stories like this. Um, because I'm just it was very troublesome because I'm just like I'm not an anxious person by nature. I think I thought I used to be because I was bogged down by dysphoric thoughts and like the whole effects of whatever I was doing. I thought that that's what like I something was wrong with me innately, but nah, I just had to grow up and like chill. Um but probably the worst, what made it the worst was like how alone I felt in it because I truly had no idea like what was going on, why it was happening, like what was actually going on in my brain like scientifically. I thought like I entered like spiritual psychosis, genuinely. I was googling, I started googling. I started googling at a certain point because I was like what the fuck is going on? Like why do I feel like I am not me, you know? Um and it felt like such it felt like spiritual psychosis because I didn't know that it was like something that actually happens in your fucking mind when you experience like intense anxiety or like drug use. Um yeah, that's why I was kind of taking everything I was feeling at face value. But, you know, I did some Googling. I learned what derealization was. I learned what depersonalization was. I learned what dissociation was. And I just kind of went on like a learning journey after I experienced these things. Um, and it was, I don't know. I hate to say it, but I was kind of annoying for a few years about it. Like, things would trigger my anxiety really bad that today really don't at all. Like it was bad. Like things would trigger me like the mention the even like the mention of something like related to the trauma I experienced in any way. And this is so fucking like my trauma, I was triggered. Like shut the fuck up. But like it's real, y'all. It's real. There I mean, I don't know I don't know what other word to use to describe it. Like, but when someone would say something, or when I would see like something on fucking TikTok or on TV of like a mention of a word related to like weed, like of like something being not real, of like dissociation, of fucking like drugs, whatever. If I would hear something about that, and it would like, I would get that same wave feeling of anxiety, like just flush through me, and I would go crazy in my mind though. Um, yeah, the worst part was just like feeling alone about it, feeling like am I the only person who's feeling like this? Because my friends who would also like smoke and shit, I'd never heard any of them talk about it or like mention anything about anything like that. Um, which is why I was like confused. Like, am I just like a fucking puss? Like, what's going on? Uh, Sorry, I keep burping. But yeah, I learned what that shit was, and then I was like, okay, maybe this is like my body telling me that this shit just isn't really for me. Um, because every time that I would like try to get high or try to drink, I was like trying to hype myself up. Like it felt like I'm on the diving board and everyone is watching me and I'm trying to hit like a sick dive, but I'm scared of water. I'm alphaba. I don't want to. I know I'll die. I know I'll be scared and hurt if I touch the water. But like I just want to do it cuz everyone's watching me, like, not that everyone was watching me, but like I just wanted to share a commonality with my friends, right? Because we all just want community and friendship and shared interests. Um, but that was not the vibe. And I felt sad because all my friends were like kind of enjoying it and like being chill, and I was like tweaking out. Um, yeah, and it was not the vibe. And I've since becoming more of an adult. I'm hesitant to call myself an adult because I'm 20. But I mean, since growing up, I mean, I was 15. I am now almost 21 years old. Since growing up from that and recovering from that, I would say like 99.9%, and learning from that experience, um I think the things that I've learned from that are very numerous, and I don't think I could possibly like verbally explain every single thing that I've learned, but it's like I've learned about myself. I'm not an enjoyer. I'm not someone who enjoys using substances like that. Um, I am not really an anxious person. It just comes out, and I've learned what triggers my anxiety, and also in the years, I have created sort of like an arsenal of um, things to kind of combat and qualm. Is that a word? Basically, like chill my anxiety, like kind of placate it. Um, and that's a whole other like discussion topic in and of itself, of how I sort of not overcame my anxiety, but like when you learn about yourself, you learn like what can set your anxiety off. You learn that anxiety, it's not that serious. It's just a feeling, like it's just an emotion like everything else, like it's fleeting. And anxiety is it's just like a primal feeling to help you survive, like your caveman brain. Um and like applying logical thinking, like, okay, I'm just high, I'm not actually like in danger, or I'm just anxious, I'm not actually like my life isn't threatened right now. um it really helps you overcome like anxious thoughts like that, and also meditation. which sounds so, ugh, but it works for me. And you should find what works for you. And that's my whole point, is you got to learn yourself to figure out what works for you, because what works for someone else isn't going to work for you, usually. It might be like the same sort of thing, like meditation works for a lot of people, but figure out how you like to meditate. You know what I mean? But yeah, thanks for listening to my stories about tweaking. Um, my tweaker days are behind me. Yeah, the fucking police are coming to get me because I talked about smoking weed. Yeah, thanks for listening. I hope you have a great rest of your day.